Republicans and Democrats clash as Republicans in the Senate vow to block the bill that just passed the House that would suspend the debt ceiling and approve government funding so there will be no government shutdown. Hello and welcome to the Exposing Truth channel. I'm your host, Evan Heath. Here in the Exposing Truth, we believe there is a war on the fundamental ideology and morals in America and a threat to the very fundamental values that have made America great, the greatest nation on earth. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and leave a like, and also share this with others so you will know the truth that Washington isn't telling you. Alrighty, so on Tuesday, this bill was brought to the floor for a vote and passed the House by nearly 220 votes. And basically what this bill would do is if it would pass the Senate and of course be signed by the President, it's the approval for government funding into the year 2022 so the government will continue to be funded and so the government would not have to go into a shutdown. And also with this bill, it includes funding for disaster relief, and finally it would also suspend the debt ceiling. Now this has been a major issue, a major controversial issue between Democrats and Republicans for the past few weeks actually. So Republicans have agreed, all of them together, that they would vote to block, or in other words, filibuster this bill because it would raise or suspend the debt ceiling. And it basically would give Democrats the approval to continue this massive, absolute massive spending spree with no restrictions, which is absolutely devastating the economy, which in later videos I'll get more into this about the absolute inflation that is coming into our economy that is devastating businesses alike. But we'll get to that in later videos. But here is a Republican press conference that just happened a few days ago where they explain why they are so against this and why they are going to filibuster this bill.
Look, we all agree America must never default. The debt ceiling will need to be raised. We have a terrible bill. But I want to focus for a minute on the debt ceiling. Look, we all agree America must never default. The debt ceiling will need to be raised. We have a Democratic president, Democratic House, a Democratic Senate. They have decided to, with the possible exception of infrastructure, all year long to operate on a partisan basis. A $1.9 trillion bill earlier this year that all of us opposed for darn good reason. And this reckless tax and spending measure, which could range from $3.5 trillion to $5 trillion. So my advice to this Democratic government, the President, the House, and the Senate, don't play Russian roulette with our economy. Step up and raise the debt ceiling to cover all that you've been engaged in all year long. So no effort on their part to describe our position as irresponsible makes any sense, because the facts are indisputable. This is a totally Democratic government. They have an obligation to raise the debt ceiling, and they will do it.
And by the way, the Democrats and the mainstream media are making this look like the Republicans want to default. They want millions of jobs to die, and they want millions of Americans to not be paid Social Security benefits. And that is simply not true. Now, Democrats still are taking this to the floor, even though Republicans are saying they absolutely will block the bill. So the Democrats are going to take this to the floor in the Senate this coming Monday, this Monday afternoon. And this is what Chuck Schumer said on the Senate floor, absolutely blaming Republicans if they block this bill.
Republicans claim to oppose a default, but they're saying they're going to vote for one anyway. They say they oppose a government shutdown, but they're going to vote for one anyway. They say they want disaster relief, but they say they're going to oppose it when the time comes. So they can resort to all the sophistry they want. But if they vote no, the Republican Party will be solidifying itself as the party of default. And the American people, unfortunately, will be the ones footing the bill. A high cost to pay for Republican games, political games. By voting to default, the Republicans would be telling the American people they're fine if people don't get their Social Security checks. They're saying they don't care if our veterans are denied benefits. They're saying they don't care if the markets come crashing down, hurting people's pensions and IRAs. Now, none of this is an exaggeration. Economist Mark Zandi, a former advisor to the late Senator McCain, wrote recently that a default would be, quote, a catastrophic blow to the nascent economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. He also warned that Americans would pay for this default for generations. I hope my Republican colleagues heard the last part as they are thinking of indulging in the political game put forward by Leader McConnell. Americans would pay for this default for generations. Of course, we all know by now that the Republican justifications for opposing raising the debt ceiling are entirely bunk. They say they're opposed to new spending, but the Wall Street Journal has said raising the debt limit wouldn't facilitate future spending, and Congress would still need to raise the debt limit this fall, even if no major spending programs are enacted. Do you hear that, Republicans? This is the Wall Street Journal. Even if not a single new spending program were enacted, we'd still have to raise the debt that was incurred by President Trump and by all of your votes. How crass can you be? How heartless can you be? You voted to spend these monies because of COVID. It was a valid reason. And now you don't want to pay for it. And you come up with some lame political sophistry as to trying to justify it, but everyone sees through that, everyone.
And again, this is absolutely unbelievable, and really, this is all the Democrats' fault. They have allowed this to happen from their previous $1.5 trillion absolute socialist spending spree with absolute no Republican approval. And really, that's what has gotten us to this point where we see inflation on the rise in our economy, businesses are dying, and unemployment is just so high right now. And that is because of the absolute massive spending spree that the Democrats are doing. And Republicans haven't been involved. So Republicans are saying the Democrats spent this without us, so they should pay for it without us. And that's simply what they're saying. And all this will do is just raise or suspend the debt ceiling with no spending restrictions. And that's really the whole point of a debt ceiling, is so that Democrats and Republicans can come together and restrict some of the spending to get some of this debt under control. But that's not really what's happening. And the Democrats have made this with absolute no restrictions on the big socialist spending that they're doing. And again, all this will do is this will allow later into this year the Democrats to pass their big $3.5 trillion spending package that, again, will absolutely increase the inflation in our economy and continue just to devastate businesses. It will actually tax middle income families. They're saying it's just going to tax the rich, but no, it's going to come right down to you through purchasing stuff from the store, from credit card, increasing all that kind of stuff is going to increase. So basically, here's what. So when this bill comes to a vote this Monday, and most likely, again, like Republicans are saying, it won't pass. Republicans probably will stick together this coming Monday, and they will filibuster this bill. And in later videos, I'll go on actually what will happen if this bill doesn't pass. Yes, the government would go into a government shutdown, and if they don't pass the debt ceiling part of the bill, yes, we would have to default. And in later videos, I'll go over exactly what a default is and what it will look like and what it will do to the economy. So I just want to go into, so Republicans are saying Democrats can do this alone. And yes, they can do this alone. They have the votes through a process called reconciliation. So the regular way that they're trying to do this Monday afternoon requires 60 votes to end the debate, which is what's called cloture. It requires 60 votes to end cloture to end the debate, and then it only requires 51 votes to vote on the bill and to pass the bill in the Senate. And so right now there's a stiff margin of a 50-50 Senate to end the debate. And so again, like I said, it would require at least 10 Republicans to vote yes to end the debate. So if there are 60 votes to call cloture, like I just said, then it would only require 51 votes to actually pass this bill in the Senate, and then go on to the president to be signed. So if at least more than 40 Republicans stand together, and I believe they will, this resolution will not pass the Senate, and it most likely would die. So like the Republicans, again, like I keep saying, have been saying, the Democrats do have the votes to pass this bill on their own through reconciliation process. The Democrats have done this on their own. They've done this by devastating the economy, by causing inflation, and they can solve this on their own with their votes. Alrighty, so if you like this channel, please subscribe. If you really like this video, please leave a like, share this with your friends. Again, I'm going to continue to be uploading more videos, further talking about this. We'll see what happens Monday with the vote, Monday afternoon, again, with this bill. And in later videos, I want to go on what exactly would happen if the government defaulted and if the government would go into shutdown. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.